What if you could just flip a switch and turn off your risk for our deadliest diseases? I know, it sounds kind of out there, right? But today, we're going to dive into the science from How Not to Die, a book with a super bold title and, believe it or not, an even bolder promise. And it all kicks off with this really remarkable personal story.
And that's where this whole thing begins. Not in some high-tech lab, but with a family story. A story that, honestly, changed the way we think about medicine.
So, picture this. Dr. Greger's grandmother, she's only 65 years old, and she's basically handed a death sentence. She's got end-stage heart disease. She's already had so many bypass surgeries that the doctors have literally run out of options. They've got nothing left. So they send her home in a wheelchair to die.
But here's the thing. She didn't die. I mean, they told her she was done for at 65, and yet she went on to live another 31 years. 31! That's long enough to see her grandson grow up and become a doctor himself. So, you gotta ask, how is that even possible?
Well, it turns out the answer wasn't some newfangled surgery or a miracle drug. Not at all. She was put on a really simple but, pretty strict whole food plant-based diet. And the result? It was just staggering. The woman who was wheeled into this center, she walked out on her own 2 feet.
And that right there, that's the central question of the whole book. I mean, if our #1 killer can be reversed with something as simple as what's on our dinner plate, why isn't this front-page news? Why doesn't everyone know this? And the answer, well, it points to a massive blind spot in our medical system.
So the argument here is that the answer lies in this huge blind spot inside our modern medical system. A system that's absolutely brilliant at intervention, surgeries, pills, but often it completely overlooks prevention. Just think about this for a second. Dr. Greger, the author, he went to a top-tier medical school, one that was actually known for its nutrition program. So you'd think he'd learn a lot, right? Well, the total amount of nutrition training he got in 4 years, get this, 21 hours. That's less than 1% of his entire medical education. 21 hours.
And that lack of training, it has very real consequences. Studies have shown that the average doctor spends just 10 seconds per appointment talking about nutrition with their patients. 10 seconds.
And this is where it gets really concerning. We have this huge disconnect. On one hand, most doctors graduating today will tell you they feel totally unprepared to give nutrition advice. But on the other hand, we, the public, still see them as the most trusted source on the subject. That creates this really dangerous gap between what we think they know and what they actually know.
Yeah, it's funny. Thomas Edison said this way back in 1903. He predicted the doctor of the future would focus on diet and prevention, not just medicine. It's an ideal we've been chasing for over 100 years. But now, finally, the science is catching up and proving him right. It's showing us exactly how food works its magic, literally down to our DNA.
Yeah, because this isn't just about one inspiring story anymore. We're talking about some truly groundbreaking science that shows how the right diet can actually, get this, reverse the aging process at a cellular level. Okay, so to get this, we need to talk about something called telomeres. The easiest way to think of them is like the little plastic tips on your shoelaces, right? They protect your DNA. And as we get older, they get shorter and shorter. And that shortening is directly linked to disease.
Now, this is where my mind was just blown. A landmark study. I mean, this was a huge deal. It showed that people on a whole food plant-based diet didn't just slow down the shortening of their telomeres. No. After 5 years, their telomeres had actually gotten longer. This was the first time in history science had ever shown that we could actually reverse aging at the cellular level. I mean, wow.
So what was the secret sauce? This is the crucial part. Follow-up research really drilled down to find the active ingredient. It wasn't because the people in the study lost weight. It wasn't because they exercised more. Other groups tried to get the same results just by cutting calories or even exercising like crazy, and it didn't work. The magic was in the quality of the food itself.
And this all leads to, honestly, one of the most empowering ideas in the entire book. And that's the idea that we have way more control over our health than we've ever been led to believe.
We've all heard it, right? Oh, it runs in the family. Heart disease, diabetes, you name it. We just kind of assume our fate is sealed by our genes. But the actual data, it tells a totally different story. For most of our leading causes of death, our genetics only account for maybe 10 to 20% of the risk. So what's the other 80 to 90%? It's us. It's our lifestyle.
Let's make this super clear. Imagine you have 2 identical twins. They share the exact same DNA, right down to the letter. 120 eats the standard American diet.
and has a heart attack, dies young. The other twin eats a healthy, plant-based diet and lives a long, long life with perfectly clean arteries. They had the same bad genes. The only thing that was different was their lifestyle. Your diet can literally turn those bad genes on or off.
And that's the bottom line. This is the core message. Your family history does not have to be your personal destiny. It's not about the genes you're dealt, it's about the food you choose to eat. You are in the driver's seat.
Okay, so what do we do with all this incredible information? How do we actually apply it? Well, the book lays out this wonderfully simple framework to help put all this science into practice. It's called the traffic light system, and it's super easy to remember. Green light foods, these are your unprocessed plants. Fruits, veggies, whole grains, beans. Eat as much as you want. Go crazy. Yellow light foods are your processed plant foods. Think, whole wheat pasta or tofu. Eat those in moderation. And then you've got your red light foods, ultra-processed stuff, and most animal products. These are the ones you want to minimize or avoid to really lower your risk. It's just a simple, intuitive guide for your day-to-day choices.
So at the end of the day, the message is one of just profound empowerment. The science is crystal clear. For so many of our deadliest diseases, the power to prevent them and even reverse them is right there at the end of your fork. So the only question left to ask is, knowing that you're in the driver's seat of your own health, what are you going to put on your plate tonight?